everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Chido and this is Chido Starts Up. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Please make sure to click the subscribe button below. And if you're joining us again, thank you for coming back. Today's video is on 7 ways that you might just be holding yourself back. So stay tuned to make sure that you're not falling into any of these traps. Number 1 is that you're not taking yourself seriously. You probably think that there's someone else out there who can do the task better than you can. Or maybe you're actually not putting as much effort because there's just other things that you want to do, so then you don't end up committing the right amount of time to the task at hand. Number 2 is you might be impatient and inflexible. You probably want to achieve something in a short amount of time. Or maybe you're just not willing to put up with some of the nastier parts of the task that you want to do. Unfortunately, growth is uncomfortable. You have to get used to making some sacrifices and not always having your way in order to get to where you want to get to. Number 3 is that you might be struggling to fail correctly. Yes, I said fail correctly. To me, there's a correct way to fail and an incorrect way to fail. Let me start with the incorrect way to fail. The incorrect way to fail is to fail in a way that keeps putting you down. Fail in a way that you start kicking yourself and thinking that you're actually not capable of completing the task. Failing incorrectly manifests in negative emotions, in anger and frustration. Yes, this does happen, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't get frustrated. I get frustrated as well. But that frustration shouldn't lead you to think that the task is impossible. You should rather aim to fail correctly. So yes, fail and get frustrated and upset, but pick yourself up again and go back and review why exactly you failed. So start a culture of reflecting. Start a culture of even asking people and asking them how they failed and how they bounced back from their failures on a similar task. Number 4 is you might be comparing yourself, and you might be comparing yourself a little too much than necessary. Yes, at times it's good to look to see what your peers are doing, just kind of get an idea of maybe how things are working or where they're at. But if it starts leading to comparison that makes you feel like you're not moving fast enough or you're not doing as an effective job as they are, then there's a huge problem there. The thing about comparison is that comparison kills. Comparison kills motivation, it kills passion, and it kills self-belief. Even though we live in a digitally connected world and we're easily able to see what the next person is doing, I implore that we try as best not to do that, especially as we're starting up. When we're starting up, we're actually not quite sure about how things work and we're still trying to figure things out. So we need to be more gracious with ourselves and not go out and compare ourselves and make ourselves feel bad. For me and the tasks that I've done, a lot of my first iterations have been horrible, like literally horrible. But the more that I started looking at what other people were doing and feeling bad about myself, I got really demotivated. It was until I actually stopped doing that and spent less time on social media that I felt a bit more confident in what I was doing. My vision actually started coming to fruition and my end product looked more like what I wanted it to look. But I wouldn't have gotten to my end product if I hadn't been patient with myself at the beginning. Number 5 is that you might be trapped in zero-sum thinking. You might think that it's either you win or you lose. It's either you succeed or you fail. The problem with zero-sum thinking is that it's never true. Life is grey. There are so many things that can happen in between. You may win one day and the next day you don't. Or you might win one day and the next time you have a smaller win. There's so many different steps to how you can actually achieve your goal. So you should never think that it's either one option or the other. There's so much more in between. One way to get out of zero-sum thinking is to be quite flexible with yourself. So write down on a piece of paper a list of at least 10 outcomes that could happen. Whatever happens in the future will probably be close to one of those 10. And it will make you realize that there's actually so much more possible with your idea, your task, or your plans than you thought possible. This may make sense in some instances, but in most instances, it doesn't. The reason why is because if you're waiting for you to get money to start your project or for you to maybe meet a certain person to start a certain task, then the project already is quite vulnerable. If that money goes away or finishes, or if that person decides to leave you or they don't really, latch onto your project as much as you thought they would, then what happens next? Because you relied so much on an external factor, it leaves the rest of your project vulnerable to failure. So don't position yourself in a place where you think that you need a certain external resource in order for your project to kick off, especially to kick off. If you want to start something, just start it. The networks and the resources will come as you go. Working on projects, starting tasks, and growing is really difficult work. A lot of the time you hit some stumbling blocks, and it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It might just mean that you need insights from someone who's probably walked the path before. The great thing about life in this current season is that we are so fortunate to be connected to a wide range of people who have probably done what we're trying to do. So it might just take you connecting with someone on social media or even asking someone in your network if they know someone who may be able to help you. Asking for help is never a bad thing. There are actually a lot of people who are willing to give free advice and free insights, especially when it's related to your personal success and growth. So that's it for this video. I'm really interested to know what you thought of my 7 points that may be holding you back from succeeding. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to Judo Starts Up. I cannot wait to catch you next time.